Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the fourth and final day of Airbyte launch week. We are going to be going over our final announcement for this week, which is the Airbyte CLI. I have with me one of our awesome user success engineers, Augustin, who's going to be going through how he created it and is going to be doing a demo of the CLI itself. Before I get into that, I'm just going to kind of plug the last few days and the content that we've gone over in the last few days. On day one, we announced our maintainer program where you can apply to work on maintenance tasks around different connectors and receive bounties for example, adding incremental sync to a connector, adding new streams for connectors, and so on. We announced our first ever conference, which is Move Data. The CFP is open for that, and regardless of your experience, you are free to apply to it. We really want to see a bunch of submissions around the usage of data integration, around how you're using your data, how you're visualizing it, how you're managing quality and orchestration. We really just want to hear all about it. Additionally, we talked about Airbyte Cloud and about all the things that we did to prepare for cloud, how we validated our connectors, and Natalie gave us a quick demo about how to use Airbyte Cloud. And then on feature day, we talked about from our head of connectors and our head of engineering, we talked about the roadmap, we talked about plans for the future, and we talked about how we can guarantee that connectors are good to go, how we take them from the alpha to the beta to the GA stage. And today we're talking about the CLI. So without further ado, I will hand it off to Augustin to go over the CLI. And thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Happy. So yes, I'm Augustin from the user success engineering team. And I'm really excited today to share with you the outcome of a big project we tackled this quarter, which is building a command line interface for Airbyte. And guess what? We named this project Octavia. So Octavia is a command line tool to help you manage your Airbyte configurations from the terminal with YAML files. And by configurations, I mean configurations for sources, destinations, and connections on Airbyte. Just a small disclaimer before I proceed to the rest of the presentation. This tool is only available on Airbyte open source. So until today, we offered two main interfaces to work with Airbyte. The main one is the web interface, which is really easy to use. You can set up your first data integration in minutes from your browser, but it does not scale if you have a ton of integration to set up. You're good to go for a click marathon. This is why we also offer the RPC API, which is basically offering the same kind of feature as the web interface, but with a programming interface. So if you'd want to manage your Airbyte configurations with the RPC API, you need to write your own scripting logic on top of the API, which can be quite cumbersome, especially if we change the API sometime. So this is why, to fill the gap in between these two interfaces, we worked on a CLI, which exposes a set of really easy to use commands to manage your Airbyte configurations from the terminal and with YAML files. So we worked on this project basically because we heard you asking a lot on Slack that you want to manage your Airbyte configurations without any UI interaction, that you want to version your Airbyte configuration on Git with files, that you also sometimes want to migrate some existing kind of configuration to a new Airbyte instance really easily. And finally, that you have some automation use case to provision Airbyte from CI/CD pipelines. So we built Octavia. Octavia is first portable because it's packaged in a Docker image. You can run it easily from wherever you want. With the Octavia generate command, you can easily generate templated YAML files that are structured according to the configuration of all our connectors. And once these files are generated, you can edit this YAML file, and you are helped with a lot of commands that Octavia provides. We also don't want you to store your secrets in plain text. This is why Octavia comes with a secret management feature. Octavia will read your secrets from your environment variable at runtime. And finally, the magic command is Octavia apply. With Octavia apply, you can create and update your Airbyte resources from the command line. And you can do these updates very safely because Octavia will display all the changes that might happen on the remote resources. So it's not all. We have full documentation online, so you can grasp the full power of Octavia. So I'm sure that as the community will start pick up this tool, a lot of new use cases will be discovered. So we are really excited to understand a bit more in which context you are using Octavia, and to please share your experience on Discourse or on Slack. But when I started working on this project, I had three main use cases in mind. The first one is to enable users to version control their configuration on Git. You can now commit and push the change you make to your local YAML, and you can then collaborate with your team on these files. You can also dynamically generate configuration. With your favorite scripting or templating tool, you can generate hundreds of configurations and use the Octavia apply command to create these hundreds of integrations. And finally, if you install Octavia on your CI/CD platform, you can automate the provisioning of Airbyte really simply. So now I'm ready for a quick demonstration. I'm going to try to use Octavia to provision a source, a destination, and a connection. And for this demo, we are going to use the Pokemon API source and the Postgres destination. So let me share my screen. All right. Is it working?
Yep.
Cool.
Here.
So before starting this demonstration, we need to check two things. The first one is to have Docker installed and running on your laptop. And the second one is to have an Airbyte instance that is reachable from your network. For this demo, I'm using a local instance of Airbyte. And at the moment, my Airbyte is completely empty. And the goal is to provision new connection, source, and destinations. So I need now to install Octavia. To install Octavia, I go to the Airbyte GitHub repository. I scroll to the Octavia folder, which is somewhere here. And you are on the README page of the project. We have full documentation and the instructions to install Octavia. So I'm going to copy paste the install command, and I'm going to my terminal. So I am on my terminal. I paste the command. And this command did two things. Now I have an alias on my terminal to the Octavia command, which is basically a Docker run command. And I have a .octavia file in my home folder. And in this file, I'm going to store all the secrets that I don't want to version on Git. So as the command says, I need to source my bash profile. All right. So now I'm going to create a directory for my Octavia project. I then move to this directory, and I can run the Octavia init command. When I run Octavia init, I just have now 3 new folders in the Octavia demo. These are folders for connection, destination, and sources, and this is where Octavia will store all the configurations. So I said that I want to create a Pokemon API source. So to do that, I first need to find the ID of the connector. So I can run Octavia list connectors sources. And I have a big list of all the connectors that are available on my Airbyte instance. This is a bit ugly now because I zoomed on my terminal. And I don't want to scroll in this list because I'm a bit lazy. So I'm going to grep on it to find the Pokemon API ID. So this is the ID. And I'm going to run Octavia generate source and the ID of my source and the name of my source, my Poke API. So now Octavia created a configuration file in source my Poke API configuration.yaml. I'm going to open this file in my IDE. And I have it here. So this is the configuration for the Pokemon API connector. For each connector, the configuration structure is a bit different, but this one is very simple. I just need to set the name of the Pokemon I want to replicate. So here I'm going to use ditto. I save it, and my configuration is ready to be applied with Octavia apply. So now the Pokemon source should be created on my Airbyte instance. I'm refreshing, and it is. And I can test it to check that everything works as expected. So it does work. So now I have my source. I now need my destination. So I repeat the same process, Octavia list connectors destinations. I want to use a Postgres destination. So I grep for Postgres. I copy the ID. I run Octavia generates destination, the ID of the destination, and my Postgres DB, which will be the name of my destination. So I have my YAML file now. And I'm running a local instance of Postgres. So I'm going to fill all the details to connect to this local Postgres instance. So I know that my local Postgres does not have SSL, that the host is localhost, the port is 2001, database is Postgres, and here is I have to set a password, but this is a secret value. So I'm going to map it to an environment variable. I name this Postgres password, and I need to open the .octavia file, which is empty at the moment, but I'm going to create a key value mapping to my Postgres password, which is launch week. I saved the Octavia file, and now I need to fill the username, which is Postgres. And I'm going to keep the default tunnel method for this connector, but here are displayed all the possible values for this field. So now my configuration is ready, and I want to apply it to create the destination. So I run Octavia apply. It says that it was created, and it is. And I run the check. I'm running the check manually now because at the moment, Octavia does not check the connection itself, but it's a feature that we are going to add very soon. And I'm just checking here to make sure that everything is working. So now we have our destination, we have our source, and we need to create the connection between the source and the destination. So Octavia generates a connection, and I need to give the path of my source file, which is source is my Poke API configuration, and the destination, which is destinations, my PostgreSDB configuration. And I need to set a name for the connection. So this will be Poke to PG. So the connection configuration is created. It's here. And I'm going to keep all the default values at the moment, but you can change the scheduling of the replication here. And you can also choose which streams you're going to replicate. But I'm going to keep the default. So now the configuration is ready, and I'm going to run Octavia apply. And the connection was created. Cool. So hopefully, yeah, it just started and it finished syncing the source Poke API. It's running as expected. But let's say now that I want to update the configuration because I don't want to replicate the same Pokemon. I'm going to change the field here to Snorlax. I will save it, and let's check what Octavia apply does. Sorry, I'm cleaning this a bit. Octavia apply. And Octavia detected there is a change on my config file, and just to be safe, I need to validate that this change is expected. So I run yes, and my source just changed to Snorlax. So yes, this is basically it. I'm really happy that it worked. So just to share that we have quite a lot of features that are planned. You can go to our GitHub repo and filter the issues with the Octavia CLI label. So you will find everything that is planned for the next quarter, let's say that. And of course, all the contributions from the community are welcome.
That was amazing. Thank you so much, Augustin. I honestly, I was kind of like smiling and I was getting super excited about it because I think there's so many people who are running like self-hosted Airbyte who are having issues with configuration in terms of like managing really large like scale configuration, and having a CLI would really help out with that.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited about all of the features that are going to come along with this.
Thank you.
Something that I guess I have as a personal question for you is, you mentioned that there's going to be some features on the roadmap. Can you talk to me about like what features are planned aside from the ones that you just talked about?
So I mentioned in this demo, I use an empty Airbyte instance. So, an existing limitation is that you can't import a configuration that you're already managing from the UI. So the next big feature we want to add is this ability to import an existing configuration on an Octavia project, so that you can manage everything from Octavia.
Awesome. Yeah, I just want to address one question in the chat. So we have Igor who asks about having paid support for the self-hosted version of Airbyte. Right now, I would actually just recommend you use our troubleshooting discourse. In terms of if you're self-hosting, that's definitely a way that you should be using Airbyte. So I know there's probably a lot of stuff that you're going to face, especially with the variety of Kubernetes infrastructures, because there's a lot of differences in different setups. So I would first like create an issue on our troubleshooting in our discourse, and then we'll try and figure out exactly what you're dealing with. So I guess in terms of more things about Octavia, what do you think that we're gonna ever have like a version of Octavia for like Airbyte Cloud? Because I guess there's a lot of different people who like would want to use Airbyte Cloud, and a lot of different people who like interacting with CLIs instead of just having like instead of just having the UIs. So like, how do you think that's going to work? Do you think that's like reasonable in the short or medium term?
Yes. So if you tune in yesterday's roadmap, I think so. Today the limitation, the reason why you can't use Octavia on Airbyte Cloud is because Octavia relies on the public API of Airbyte, and we don't yet have this the API public on Airbyte Cloud. And I think it's something that is planned for the next 6 months. And this is so when the public API will be available for Airbyte, we will be able to use Octavia on Airbyte Cloud.
Awesome. So I guess another question would be, is there so in terms of like generating like multiple connections at the same time, is there going to be like anything around like basically applying like specific configurations to lots of your connections, or like generating a bunch of like connections in a certain way using the CLI? Like, because I think a lot of people who are using the CLI and who are I guess would expect to be able to have some of those usable like quality of life features with mass updates.
Yeah. So at the moment, the Octavia apply is, so in this demo, I did not went into the details. So if you run Octavia apply, it will just detect all the configuration files that you have in your current project and will apply these configurations. But you have some specific options if you want just to apply a single file. And for the mass creation of configuration, this is not something that is made with Octavia, but as Octavia is a CLI tool, you can write whatever script you want to automatically call Octavia generate command. And if you have, you can use a templating tool to automatically fill everything, every field.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, definitely. I guess finally, I guess a year from now, what would you like to see in Octavia, and what are you planning for the long term?
I'd love to. So Octavia now focuses on configurations. configuration management. But this is the CLI for Airbyte, it would be cool if you could run other Airbyte like day-to-day operations with Octavia, such as the upgrade of connectors, or maybe checking the logs of your things from Octavia. Yes, just adding more features that are really mapping to have a feature parity between the web interface and the CLI. That's basically the plan.
Yeah, that makes sense. So like, for example, setting up like webhooks for connection success and connection failure, like maybe like you set that up through CLI. Awesome. So I think that's pretty much all of the questions I have. If there's any other questions, we are finishing up, I guess, a little early today, but if there's any other questions from the chat, make sure to head over to our Slack channel. We are really active in our Slack channel, and we will answer your questions really quickly. Augustin will actually answer your questions really quickly.
Yeah, we have a dedicated channel on Slack. This is called Octavia-CLI. And of course, now that we have our online forum, feel free to post whatever question you have on the tool, and I'm really happy to help.
Yeah, awesome. It was really, really great.
Thank you.
That was a really awesome demo. I'm really excited about what we can do with Octavia. I'm really excited for everyone to get their hands on it. And as Augustin mentioned, we would really love people to, I guess, hack on it and actually add features for it and contribute to it. That would be really cool, because I mean, getting this into a good state, I think makes us feel really good about using the self-hosted version and configuration for the open source version. This has been a really awesome time. I mean, we've had a few technical difficulties over the last 4 days, but overall, I think we've had a great time at launch week, and we've been really excited to share a lot of different things with the community. I've been really excited to, I think, be around all of our awesome team members, and I think they've really had a lot of awesome things to share this week. And we are really excited about our launch of Airbyte Cloud and all of our verified connectors, and we are really looking forward to the future and getting Airbyte Cloud into the hands of as many people as possible. Finally, we do have a special announcement for y'all. We did promise that there was going to be a special announcement today. You can actually check it out in our blog, which we're dropping links to in the chats that we're streaming from. So we're going to be dropping these links in the chat, so go ahead and check that out. Overall, thank you so much from everyone on the launch week team, from everyone from Airbyte. We are really excited to basically kind of continue the journey of making data integration pipelines a commodity that is available for everyone, and we're really excited for the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, especially if you've been here from day one. Thank you so much. Have a good one, and thanks for joining.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.